This is an Andy's Randomness special report. Reporting now, Andy Pollock.
Good morning, everyone. We are waiting for the daily COVID-19 briefing from New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. He will be coming out any moment to speak. Well, I'll mention something quickly. I was in the middle of eating a late breakfast, so I will be finishing up downstairs, washing the dishes, and keeping an eye on the live stream with my phone over here. But yes, any moment, we are going to be hearing from the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo. So I'm just going to quickly take a look at the comments. All right, there we go. Once again, information on donations can be found in the description below. Information on text lines can also be found in the description below for New York City, Nassau County, and Suffolk, of course. I'm going to mention that later on in this stream, I'm going to be playing a Fox News interview with Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone. And I want to mention a viewer of mine whose name on Instagram, Jill I Radio, gave me a DM on Instagram yesterday afternoon. And pretty much the DM was a video from Fox News where Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone said that there is uncertainty that Suffolk County is going to be the next hotspot for the COVID cases. Now, I'm hoping today that Andrew Cuomo will bring that up because, again, everybody was just assuming it was going to be Nassau County who were going to get cases. Well, things are changing. With this virus, again, things change very quickly. You gotta understand that. And as always, Andrew Cuomo is fashionably late. What else doesn't surprise me? Thank you, Joy Jung. Thank you for joining. Thank you. So, yes, I had to, because, you're giving... Joy Jung, you're giving very vital information for Suffolk. So I want to thank you for that because, again, I know most of my viewers are in Nassau County and New York City, of course. Some in Delmarva. They want to see what life is like back in New York, but yeah, he's very reliable for Suffolk. I'll be completely honest. And I'll mention the Joy Jung. He might want to hear this out. They closed Argyle Park in Babylon yesterday. Pine Power LI did a video last night, and that's terrible. Oh, here comes Andrew Cuomo right now.
Good morning. Everyone, I think, knows who's here. To my far right, Dr. Malatras, Dr. Zucker. I'm technically a doctor also, but not really. Melissa DeRosa, Secretary to the Governor. Robert Mujica, Doctor of the Budget. Let's talk about today's numbers and where we are today. Total number of newly hospitalized is up from yesterday, but when you look at the 3-day averaging of these numbers, the 3-day average is down, which is good news. This is the 3-day hospitalization rate. We tend not to look at any one day. Day to day, it's up somewhat, but if you look at the 3-day average, it's moving down, which is good news. We talk about the apex, and is the apex a plateau? And right now we're projecting that we are reaching a plateau in the total number of hospitalizations, and you can see the growth and you see it starting to flatten. Again, this is a projection. It still depends on what we do, and what we do will affect those numbers. This is not an act of God that we're looking at. It's an act of what society actually does. Change in daily ICU admissions is way down, and that's good news. The daily intubations number is down, and that's good news. The discharge rate is right about where it was. The bad news is 5,489 New Yorkers have lost their lives to this virus. That is up from 4,758. That is the largest single-day increase. And we talk about numbers, but that's 731 people who we lost. Behind every one of those numbers is an individual, is a family, is a mother, is a father, is a sister, is a brother. So a lot of pain, again today, for many New Yorkers, and they're in our thoughts and prayers. Many people across this country. Why the discrepancy or the discordancy, number of deaths up, number of hospitalization dropping, the number of deaths, number of losses is a lagging indicator to the number of hospitalizations, right? What happens is a person goes into the hospital. If they're treated, most of them are then released, they're discharged. Some stay, some get put on a ventilator. The longer you are on a ventilator, the less likely that you will ever come off that ventilator. And that's why you're seeing the number of deaths increase, because these are people who came in at the peak. They were not successfully treated. They're on a ventilator. The longer you're on a ventilator, the less likely you come off the ventilator. New York is still the most heavily impacted state in the nation. New Jersey, which is on the curve a little bit behind New York, is suffering. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with them. I spoke to Governor Murphy of New Jersey today, and we talked through the situation and working on joint strategies, but our heart goes out to all of our neighbors in New Jersey, Michigan, California, Louisiana. In terms of how we're operating, how we're managing the situation, as we know, the hospital system basically is a three-legged stool. It relies on number of beds, number of staff, and the equipment. Number of beds, we have started with a system of about 53,000 beds statewide. We're up to about 90,000 available beds, so we have more than enough beds available. Staff has been a problem. Staffing, healthcare staff is getting sick. They're overworked, they're stressed, they're under great emotional stress. You know, think about these healthcare workers. You're working in a hospital, in an emergency room that's overwhelmed. You're worried about your own health. You then go home. You're worried about bringing a virus home if you're infected. At home is under stress, as every home is under stress. About 7,000 new staff have been hired from the pool that we have identified. These are retired healthcare workers who came forward. These are people from across the country who came forward. The state has a pool of potential employees. The hospitals hire from that pool, and they've hired about 7,000 to date. Equipment, that's the protective equipment, ventilators, where we are stretching and moving, but every hospital has what they need to date. And then we balance the patient load among all hospitals, so no hospital, single hospital or system gets overburdened. And that's a daily adjustment which takes tremendous cooperation among all of the healthcare institutions. I thank them very much for what they're doing. And then we have the overload relief, which is the Javits Center, 2,500 beds, and the U.S. Navy Ship Comfort. The U.S. Navy Ship Comfort had 1,000 bed capacity. It was originally for non-COVID patients. What wound up happening was we don't really have non-COVID patients. closed down society. There's fewer traffic accidents. Crime is down. So the original plan, which was the Comfort would take non-COVID cases from the hospitals, didn't really work because the hospitals didn't have non-COVID cases. I called the president yesterday morning, asked him to speak to the Department of Defense to see if they would change it to COVID. The president, to his credit, moved expeditiously, called me back yesterday afternoon, said they would make the Comfort non-COVID. COVID. When they make that transition, the capacity of the ship comes down from 1,000 to 500 beds because COVID patients require a greater treatment area, more space, and therefore the capacity of the ship came down from 1,000 to 500. It's still a tremendous benefit. So between Javits and the Comfort, that's 3,000 beds, which is a welcome overload relief to the hospital system, which is already extraordinarily stressed. But I spoke to General Shaughnessy today, who we spoke through the Comfort and Javits. The Department of Defense has been fantastic, and the number of military personnel they have sent up here and how quickly they've sent up here, and this is a tough assignment to run facilities this large and to come up to speed and to be handling this many COVID patients in a new startup emergency facility. This is a really difficult undertaking, and they've really been fantastic, and I want to thank them all. And I want to thank the President for moving as quickly as he did. We're working on a tri-state cooperative. As I mentioned, I spoke to Governor Murphy from New Jersey. I spoke to Governor Ned Lamont from the state of Connecticut. We coordinated the shutting down, if you will, when we did schools, businesses, et cetera, because this really operates as a tri-state area. A lot of people who live in New Jersey work in New York, or live in New York, work in New Jersey or Connecticut. So we talk about the tri-state area, which is true, and we try to operate to the best we can as that regional collaboration, and that has been working well for us on schools, on the economy, on health care issues. We have to start planning, restarting life. We're not there yet, but this is not a light switch that we can just flick one day and everything goes back to normal. We're going to have to restart that economy. We're going to have to restart a lot of systems that we shut down abruptly, and we need to start to plan for that. And I spoke to the governors, Governor Murphy and Governor Lamont, about coming up with a regional, metropolitan, tri-state approach to do just that. How do we, when we get to that point, which we're not at, but how do we restart our economy and get everything up and running as quickly as possible? My personal opinion is going to come down to how good we are with testing. You're not going to end the infection and end the virus before you start restarting life. I don't think you have that luxury. How do you start the economy back up? How do you start getting back to work as quickly as possible? It's going to come down to testing. You're going to have to know who had the virus, who resolved the virus, who never had it. That's going to be testing. And that is an entirely new field that we're just developing now, right? New York State developed, a Department of Health developed an antibody testing regimen that Department of Health has approved for use in New York State. That has to be brought to scale, and the Department of Health is going to be working with the FDA to do just that. This tests the blood to determine whether or not you have the antibodies, which means you had the virus and resolved the virus. That's why you would have the antibodies for the virus. That would mean that you're no longer contagious, and you can't catch the virus because you have the antibodies in your system, which means you can get to work, you can go back to school, you can do whatever you want. But you have to have that testing, and you have to have that testing on a scale, right? You have 19 million people in the state of New York. Just think of how many people you would need to be able to test and test quickly. The antibody testing is part of that. Also, rapid testing to determine whether or not you have the virus now exists. They have, quote unquote, 15-minute tests that are commercially available. But again, they have to be brought to scale. No private company has the capacity to bring those to scale. So I was speaking with Governor Murphy and Governor Lamont. We are interested in working with private companies that can actually bring this testing capacity to scale and to scale quickly. Because again, if you have the antibody testing, that's part. If you can then test if a person is positive for the virus and you can do it that day and you can get those results in 15 minutes, that's also another way to get back to life and do it quickly. So we're very interested in that in New York, so is New Jersey, so is Connecticut. There are private companies that have these tests. Again, it's all up to scale. We're starting them in the state of New York, but we only have about a 50,000 person testing capacity, which is nice, but it's not of a scale that's actually going to make a large difference. So private companies that are interested in getting into this space and coming up the scale quickly, we are interested in those companies and we're interested in investing in those companies, and they should contact us at Empire State Development Corporation. Also restarting life, the state budget, not just this state, but every state budget, right? Our revenues just collapsed. You want to restart the economy, you have to help restart the local governments, and that's going to be a federal act. I don't have the capacity as a governor, no governor does, to generate revenue in a positive way from an economy that's not operating. That is going to be a federal stimulus bill. There's no other way to do this. And it has to be a stimulus bill that actually understands you have state and local governments that have to be brought up to speed and functioning if you want to facilitate this restarting of the economy. Federal government passed some legislation. As I've said at the time, it was woefully inadequate from New York's point of view. We then have had some time to actually study the legislation. It actually gets worse when you read it, and it's not even what was represented to us initially. So I'm sending our congressional delegation a letter today saying the past legislation did good for the nation, I have no doubt, gave aid to a lot of people and places that needed it, but it was not fair to New York. And that has to be remedied in any legislation that goes forward. The last point, I know it's been a frustrating 37 days, but it's only been 37 days on the other hand. I know it feels like a lifetime. It's been so disruptive, so abrupt, so frightening, so disorienting, but it's only been 37 days, right? Everything in context and everything in perspective. I know it's tough to get up every day, and this is like Groundhog Day, living through this bizarre reality that we're in. It's even more difficult, I think, with the weather changing, and you feel the seasons changing, and it's getting nicer, and you start to open a new book of possibilities, and now the weather's getting nice, and I should be getting outdoors, and I should be doing this, and I should be doing this. I get it. But it's only been 37 days. And I started by saying those numbers of cases, that's not arbitrary. What we do affects the number of cases. Our behavior affects the number of cases. We're generating the cases. They're not descending on us from heaven, right? It's our behavior. So it's been 37 days. The 1918 pandemic that we talk about peaked in New York for 6 months. It came through in 3 waves, and it peaked for 6 months. 30,000 people died in New York during that pandemic. Why? They didn't react the way we did. They didn't know as much as we know today. They didn't have the same drug therapies. But we are changing the curve in that virus growth. You see that plateauing. That's because of what we are doing. If we don't do what we are doing, that is a much different curve. And that's what happened in the past. So social distancing is working. Well, you shut down all the businesses. I know. Well, you shut down all the schools. I know. But it is working. That's why you see those numbers coming down. If we were doing the same rate of interaction, those numbers would still be going up. So to the extent we see a flattening or a possible plateau, that's because of what we are doing, and we have to keep doing it. I know it's hard, but we have to keep doing it. And to the extent it takes an effort, remember at this time, it is about we, and it is not about me. I know what I would like to be doing. I would like to be going, it's motorcycle weather for me. It's time to get out on the water. It's time to go hiking in the Adirondacks. I get it. It's not about me. It's not about me. What I do will affect other people. It will affect my family. It will affect other people. It will affect people in those emergency rooms who are killing themselves every day to keep other people safe. I get infected, I will affect them. So we all talk about society and community and interconnection and interrelation and family, and life is bigger than us. Now is the time to live that, right? Now is the time to live that. So when you feel that need, I have to do this. It's not about me, it's about we and what's good for all of us. And my health is in your hands. And your health is in my hands. And the health of those healthcare workers and those first responders and all those people who have to show up to work every day to keep society functioning, we are responsible to them also. So to the extent it's hard, I get it. But maybe if we think about it through a different lens, a broader lens, it'll be a little easier. So let's not get complacent. We have to stay disciplined. We have to stay smart. We have to stay safe. And we do that by staying at home. And we will get through this together. Questions?
The Pentagon said yesterday that the comfort
All right, so once again, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo with his daily COVID-19 briefing. There was a little bit of bad news where the hospitalizations did tick up a little bit, but we'll only see where things go. We'll see where it goes for the rest of this week. We're only on, I think, the first week of it getting bad, they claim. So it's only Tuesday. So we need an accurate assessment probably by Friday, the way things are looking. Tomorrow's a whole new day, I get it. But if we get 3 days, then, we can make our own assessment then. But you clearly saw from Saturday to Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, cases were dropping in the hospitals. So, again, don't let our guard down. We have to see where things go from here. Now, a couple of takeaways I will get into. We will get to it right now. Go on my Twitter. And I'll play you the video from Steve Ballone if I can find it. I'll see if it's on YouTube, and I'll play it that way, I guess. Once again, I'm on Twitter at Andy's Randomness, so if you want to follow me, you're more than welcome to. I'm just trying to find it. Okay, here we go. This is the announcement. So, make me bigger so you all can at least see me. There we go. Okay, New York State today announces that they are doing a regional approach testing. New York State Department of Health will approve an antibody testing. So if FDA approves the test, they can begin scaling. So this would mean that if we do get rapid testing done, then we have a possibility that we could maybe look into restarting everything within the next month. So that's some good news on that end. I really hope that we would be in that situation by this time next month to be a week away from reopening everything. Okay, let's see. Alright, so once again, we need help in New York. So again, call the New York State COVID-19 donation line if you are a company that is willing to help out with the research for the testing. 212-803-3100, COVID-19 supplies at esd.ny.gov. Hang on for a second, folks. Do apologize. Whoa, why aren't I on Chrome? Why aren't I on Chrome? Okay, there we go. And lastly, this tweet that was sent out from the governor himself. Our hearts go out to New Jersey. It'll play.
New Jersey.
There we go. After all, New Jersey has lost the most people to this vicious virus. After New York, that is, excuse me. After New York. See? Gotta highlight that. Oops. Yeah, I can only use my mouse, it seems. Okay, our thoughts are with our brothers and sisters across the Hudson. We are all New York tough, and we are Jersey strong. That indeed. So we are praying for our neighbors in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Oh, thank goodness I have that on cue now. I want to quickly mention that I tweeted out an article from the Queen's Courier, and this is so ironic that a week from today was supposed to be my cousin Elizabeth's wedding shower. And the ironic thing about it is Lady Gaga is hosting the worldwide telecast to reach out to healthcare workers. So if you don't remember, back on March, I had the date right here because I know I deleted the recording, but I had the date very well. Back on March 29th, Fox aired a special for coronavirus outreach. So right now, we know that Paul McCartney, Lizzo, and Billie Eilish are set to be on the special. I'm hoping that they will get... Maybe Drake will do the Tootsie Slide. It's possible. I still gotta tape the top 40 starting today. My goodness. So, what else? Oh, yeah, right. The Fox News video. So I'm gonna put me back up while I research it. So, yeah, there was a video on Fox News yesterday. And the alarming thing was Steve Ballone, the Suffolk County executive, was saying that there's a possibility that Suffolk will see a lot of cases, which, not ruling it out. And I will mention that Laura Curran should be speaking sometime later this afternoon. I'm going to be leaving the air shortly because I have to wait from Billboard to hear if they're going to give me the chart. And I'm praying for a miracle that I don't have to do a bonus song this week and play Tootsie Slide, but I mean, eventually you'll hear about it. Hope it's on YouTube. Ah, boy. We actually have a sad update
British
for
Prime
Boris
Minister
Johnson.
Boris Johnson remains hospital.
Yeah, I'll play that as well to give you an update on Boris Johnson, one of Andy Byford's friends, of course. So, let's go back to YouTube for a second. I do want to play that video. Yeah, I just got an update from Reuters regarding Mr. Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of England. The only issue is, who becomes Prime Minister if Boris Johnson becomes incapacitated? You know, that's a good question. I have to really think that one out. I mean, I hope he's not going to be incapacitated. Please. Please. Alright, so, right. Fox News, Steve. Let's see if I can find it on YouTube. Upload date. Let's see if I can find something. Guess that won't help me, so I guess we'll have to just go on the Fox News website. Yeah, here we go. I found it. So I will play this video right after I play Mr. Boris Johnson. Allow ads my butt. Unbelievable. You know, at least they're not like News 12, where News 12 says you have to get rid of ads. Now that can be annoying. I just hope this Fox News video will play.
We're orchestrating a massive federal response unlike anything.
Okay, so I think I'll play the Fox News video because Choi Jung, again, he's in Suffolk. He wanted me to play this, so we're now going to watch a video from FoxNews.com of Suffolk County Executive Steve Ballone claiming that Suffolk County, New York, could be the next hotspot of COVID-19 cases.
We're orchestrating a massive federal response unlike anything our country has ever seen or done. Long Island now has become a hotspot. We will also be delivering another 200,000 N95 masks to Suffolk County, where they need it very badly. So we're getting that out on an emergency basis. Should be there tomorrow.
Yeah, Suffolk County, New York, home to Long Island, deemed a coronavirus hotspot, as you just heard. Cases surged to over 13,000. 175 have lost their lives. Joining us right now with what's being done to contain it is Suffolk County Executive Steve Ballone. Steve, you have your hands full. Are you surprised in New York? It was up until a few days ago, 15% of the cases were Long Island related. Now 22% of the cases are happening, of the people are testing positive in Long Island. Why?
Good morning. Well, Suffolk County really is at the center of the fight against the coronavirus now. We have more cases here than just about any other state in the country, just in this county and on Long Island alone. And actually, 3 weeks ago, we didn't have a single death related to the COVID-19 virus. And that number today stands at more than 200, and it's rising. Governor Cuomo, who's, I think, done an outstanding job leading our state through this crisis, has talked about how the battle shifted to Long Island. And the fact that President Trump has made this commitment to Suffolk County, to the people of the county, and most importantly, particularly to the men and women who are on the front lines, the healthcare workers, the first responders. It really is a tremendous shot in the arm. The N95 masks are going to help protect our healthcare workers. We saw yesterday on the cover of the newspaper, we saw one of those workers wearing a garbage bag. This is not who we are. And knowing that the president understands what's happening here in Suffolk County and has made the commitment and the White House has made the commitment that they will help bring the resources we need in the next 30 days to fight this virus is making a tremendous difference. And I'm grateful to the president for that support.
And Steve, you do a really good job with these addresses. I've been watching you too, being that I'm located right around here. Your big challenge? A lot of people from Manhattan go to their summer homes in the Hamptons, and now all of a sudden that complicates things. Your comment on that?
Well, certainly our summer communities in the Hamptons, Fire Island, they're not geared up and haven't been geared up for the season. They certainly haven't been geared up to deal with a global pandemic. So we'd encourage people to stay at home as best they can. But when they do come out, if they do come out, to isolate and follow that health guidance. But most importantly, whoever is here, what we need to fight this battle are those resources that the president has delivered, that he has talked about. And what we need more than anything else right now, in addition to the personal protective equipment, are ventilators. We need 500 ventilators in this county in the next 2 weeks to make it through this crisis period. And depending on what model you're looking at, we may need more than that. But I'm comfortable that would get us through the next 2 weeks.
All right, we'll try to get you those vents. Thanks a lot, Steve Bellone.
All right, folks. As you clearly heard, that was Steve Bellone just now. Honestly, Suffolk is going to be in a tailspin the next couple of days. I don't know how they're going to see the cases, but it is possible that you do have people who are coming out to the Hamptons who are just making it worse, potentially. So, bottom line is, again, you're in New York City, just stay in New York City. Bottom line. That's how things have to work out here. Okay? And I will mention that, Suffolk is going to really be... I don't know how Suffolk's going to handle it. I don't really have an answer on that right now. So I think to wrap this up, I'm going to play a video from Reuters. Reuters! That's right. Reuters! The news source. And we're going to get an update on British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Hang on a second, folks. I'm having technical difficulties. Hang on for a second.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson remains hospitalised in an intensive care unit and is receiving oxygen support. The first
Now we should be able to play the video.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson remains hospitalised in an intensive care unit and is receiving oxygen support. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson remains hospitalised in an intensive care unit and is receiving oxygen support. The first leader of a major world power to suffer so drastically from coronavirus complications. 55-year-old Johnson was first admitted to London's St Thomas's Hospital on Sunday night after showing persistent symptoms including a high temperature and a cough for over 10 days. Downing Street says that his condition deteriorated rapidly over 24 hours, although he has not been put on a ventilator as of Tuesday morning. Johnson's personal battle with the virus comes as the country enters what scientists say is likely to be one of the most deadly weeks of the pandemic. Over 5,300 people have so far died in Britain. The UK doesn't actually have a formal line of succession should a Prime Minister become incapacitated. But in the days prior, Johnson had asked Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab to deputise for him where necessary. Even when Johnson was in hospital on Monday, Raab told a news conference that the PM was still in charge.
And he continues to lead the government.
But now, Raab stands at the helm, starting with a Covid-19 emergency response meeting on Tuesday morning. Also on Tuesday, it was reported that another member of Johnson's team, Cabinet Minister Michael Gove, is self-isolating, as a member of Gove's family is showing symptoms.
Alright, so once again, the condition of Mr. Boris Johnson is not looking so well, folks. So we're going to have to see where things end up. Because right now, we just do not know, bottom line, what's going to happen. And then look at this. Japan declares state of emergency. Look at this.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe declared a state of emergency on Tuesday, giving authorities more power to stop its coronavirus outbreak. It means authorities can do more to pressure people to stay at home and businesses to close, although there are few penalties in most cases. So enforcement will rely more on peer pressure and respect for authority. This was Abe on Tuesday.
If we can reduce social contact between people by at least 70% or possibly 80%, we can ensure the virus peaks in 2 weeks and that number will decrease.
The state of emergency will last through to May 6 and will be imposed in Tokyo and 6 other prefectures, accounting for about 44% of Japan's population.
So again, you clearly see that Japan is taking the same steps. They are taking this 100% very, very seriously. Okay? So, oops, meant to close this thing out. Yeah, so, check the comments very quickly. Okay, I don't see anything. So I think with that, we're going to wrap up this live stream for now. So we'll see where things go from here. But again, we have to wait to hear from Cuomo again tomorrow. Once again, it's once a day we hear from him. So that's going to wrap things up. Thank you for watching. This has been an Andy's Random, the special report.
This has been an Andy's Randomness special report.